Thank you guys for coming out today. Thank everyone for being here this afternoon. Welcome to the Black Summit on Dynamic Leadership. My name is Tony Richards from 96.3 WHUR Radio. I know we have a lot of young men in the audience from various schools. What schools are represented here today? Name the schools. Just come out here for a minute. We gotta represent some of these schools. What school? Say school? Who? Let me get down close so you get these names. What school you repping, young man? Wilson. All right. Let me get over here. What school you repping? School Wall. There you go. What school? Wall. Same one. Okay, let me go in the back a little bit. What school you repping? Tech. Tech is in the house. So Tech is ready. They're trying to run things. Let's see over here. What school you repping? Dunbar. Welcome, Dunbar. I know this is more Tech over here. I got you. That's more Dunbar. Who's over here? What school you repping? National Collegiate. All right. Well, we got our fellows in the house. Did we get all the schools? Everybody repping? Everybody repping? Oh, you got it repping? I want to make sure. Oh, let me. Okay. I think we got one more back here. I want to leave any of my brothers out real quick. What school you repping, man? Oh, Jack. Come on.
School without walls, baby.
School without walls. All right. We're glad to have you guys here again. Welcome to the Black Summit.
We're here at the Lasting Legacy Black Male Summit on Dynamic Leadership, and I'm sitting with Mr. Dante Peoples and some amazing young brothers. And before we say that, you know, Urban Walsh, we had the gift of inspiration. So I want to thank Miss Shauna Marie for gifting Howard Homecoming Experience, because these young brothers are going to get the film. How are you, brother?
I'm well, thank you.
Excellent. So Mr. Peoples, correct?
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about your program.
All right, so Men of Strength Club started in 2000. It's a primary prevention program for domestic violence, gender-based violence here in Washington, D.C., actually throughout the country. And I focus on, exposing young men to healthy relationships, healthy attitudes around sexual assault, around healthy masculinity. We focus on the dominant and counter stories of masculinity and how that, and just help young men shape their ideals and ideas around gender-based violence.
Now, what made you, how long has this program been in existence?
Since 2000.
And what made you, beside the obvious, found or develop this program?
Well, our executive director, Neil Irving, he started out as the program director. Now he's the executive director of the organization. Our parent organization is Men Can Stop Rape, so which is, like I said, a primary prevention program for gender-based violence, sexual assault and rape. Instead of focusing on men, when things happen, how about we again shape the ideas and thoughts and behaviors of young men around gender-based violence and sexual assault. So that's how it came into existence, and we've been in DC public school system now since its inception in 2000. And we've expanded to North Carolina, New York, South Carolina. I mean, we're all over the place. We just partnered with a university in Toronto, Fleming College. So we're doing amazing work. And these guys, man, they attest to just when we're consistent, they step up and they show out and they bring their best. So we're excited about this program here.
What's one of your favorite things or aspects of this program?
The insight and information it brings to young black me and my community.
So my first guest I'd like to introduce to you gentlemen. I know you probably know his voice, and I'm sure that you know his face. He is one of the most familiar faces and voices on television news in the Washington, D.C. area. We are so honored and absolutely happy to have him joining us as our Master of Ceremonies today. So young men, please put your hands together and make some noise for NBC4 evening anchor, my friend, Mr. Jim Vance. Come on, fellas, give it up.
What's up, y'all? First of all, acknowledge that I am happy to be here. And I'm pleased as well to see all of you gentlemen sitting up here as well. It is my business to basically tell people what happened today. And the nature of my business, unfortunately, is such that what I have to talk about a lot is the pathology of us, of you, of our people, especially our young black men. And by the pathology of our people, I'm talking about the fact of all the things that go wrong it is always my pleasure, anywhere I am and at any time, to make the point that for every young brother that I have to do a report on at 6 o'clock in the evening, who has shot somebody, been shot, done somebody wrong, there are at least 10, if not 50, if not 100 young brothers out there who are doing just fine and well and can do even better if those of us who care about them would do a little more to help them, just a little bit. Give my hand wherever you possibly can. That is how I view you. And that is the way that I am so happy to be here seeing you represent here today. I'm thrilled, and I'm not kidding. I am very happy to be in your company today, and I expect one day in the not too distant future, when I'm looking for something to do, that I can call one of y'all to get a job, because one of y'all out there is going to be hiring people like me, and I look forward to that with passion. We have a lot to do today, and so we are going to move apace as quickly as we possibly can. Let us begin, if you will, with the joyful sounds that we are about to experience from another exemplary young brother. His name is Kendrick Light, and Kendrick is going to come before us right now to thrill us with a piece of music called "A Change Is Going to Come." Come on, Kendrick.
I was born by the river in a little tent, oh, just like that river. I've been running ever since. It's been a long time coming, and I know change gon' come. Oh, yes, it will. It's been too hard living, but I'm afraid to die, 'cause I don't know what's up there beyond the sky. It's been a long time coming, and I know change gon' come. Oh, yes, it will.
We want to hear now from a lady, a sister who is a proud member of the class of 2016 here at Howard University. A woman who I assume, if I can't get a job from you in a few years, maybe she'll hire me. Would you welcome, ladies, gentlemen, I'm sorry, would you welcome Tatiana Hopkins from Howard?
Hello, everyone. My name is Tatiana Hopkins. I'm a senior print online journalism major at Howard University. Just a few weeks ago, I had no idea really who Ambassador Dawson was, but without even knowing it, his work had a profound impact on my life. Having changed my major the first week of senior year, I had to secure a supervised internship, and I thought that Professor Lawrence Cogwell would be the perfect fit. Like so many others, I had failed his class, but knew that he was the only person that could prepare me for the seriously cutthroat world of journalism. So I went to him the week before classes started and asked him for an internship. I thought now that he was retired, he'd go a little easy on me. I was wrong. I got my first assignment before classes started, and it was to do a profile on Ambassador Dawson. So I started my research. On the internet, I learned that Ambassador Dawson had full and impactful careers in both foreign service and education. And speaking with his friends and family, I learned that he was a humble man, very compassionate in his efforts to mold the minds of young students. And in speaking with him, I found him to be a man of great integrity and very in touch. He has a better phone than I do. But most shockingly, I discovered that Ambassador Dawson is the man responsible for selecting my Kagwa to study in the United States free of charge some 50 years ago. So I stand here as confirmation of Ambassador Dawson's lasting legacy, because without him, I wouldn't have my mentor, Lawrence Kagwa, today. So thank you, Ambassador Dawson.
Thank you, Tatiana. We're moving along here because, like I said, we've got many things to do. Also now, from Howard University, this is not a mistake, a professor, as a matter of fact, at this fine, revered institution. Would you welcome, gentlemen, Dr. Lawrence Kagwa. Dr. Kagwa.
Jim and I are from different disciplines. He is from the broadcasting area, I'm from the print area. So I don't have the voice to project like he does. But I'm really honored to be here today to introduce to you a man that is responsible for being who I am and what I am. Some 52 years ago, Ambassador Dawson was selected to be a cultural attaché in my home country, Uganda. A year after he got there, he had already organized airlifting African students who did not have even the means to pay for a college education. And to me, that became the legacy that he has. The way I see him is a man who makes a way for young people who don't have the means to acquire their pathway to a better education and a better life. Now, Ambassador Dawson is responsible for bringing to this country over 1,500 African young students to get bachelor's degrees across the universities of this country at no cost. Number one, we couldn't afford it. And when I heard about this project, I seemed to see at Howard a lot of young people who actually have the desire to get an education, but they don't have the means. So there's a power in a way that he organized a program to get Africans to get these college degrees. And Ms. Prey is coming up with a program in his honor that is going to be making a way for probably a lot of you who have the desire to get this education, but you don't have the means. And I'll be glad to partner with Ms. Prey really to see what we can do to open doors for some of you who have that desire or the passion for an education, but you lack the means. So I'm glad to be here today with you. One particular legacy that I raised on my mind, and I did talk to the ambassador today about it briefly. There's a gentleman here from the Smithsonian Institution I've talked to briefly. There's some people at Howard I've talked to briefly. They really don't know the legacy that Ambassador Dawson has left on the African continent. That legacy is connected with the decolonization of Africa. He came to Africa at a time when the African independence movement was really the moving spirit around the continent. And he found out pretty fast that way the African universities did not have the capacity to produce as many educated leaders for the new emerging countries. And he somehow took it upon himself to actually organize these airlifts. And what's amazing to me is he was doing it for people or young people that he didn't even know. And as a matter of fact, I never knew Ambassador Dawson until he retired from the Foreign Service. And the day after he retired from the Foreign Service, he wound up at Howard University in the same school where I was chairman of a department. Somehow he knew and introduced himself and said, "You're the guy who brought me here." And he said, "Yeah." And we talked a little bit. I said, "Well, who else did you bring here?" Of course, your president, or our president, since now I'm one of you, Barack Obama, has an interesting story. What did Ambassador Dawson have anything to do with him? his dad, Obama's dad, came here under some of those programs that Ambassador Dawson was actually implementing in Africa. But that story is not told. And when I tell about the Smithsonian, I say, well, how come we don't know much about the impact of the legacy Ambassador Dawson has left on the African continents in this phase of nation building, when he brought a lot of the doctors, the professors, the engineers, the architects, the teachers, you name it. He brought them here and educated them and then sent them back home to participate in that nation building stuff. That story, I couldn't find it in Google or anywhere yet. Now, my friend from the Smithsonian Institute said, well, we go work on it. Well, Ambassador, there's a friend of mine at Howard also who heard about this story of the legacy of Ambassador Dawson on nation building in Africa. And she too said that, yeah, she's going to sit down and figure out how to write that story. Those of you who are familiar with the black press, there's a motto, they say that, yes, we want to tell our stories. Ambassador Dawson's story has not been told yet, and I'm hoping that some of you who are going to be beneficiaries of his legacy will be the one to take up the pen and write that story. So I know we're running late, so Ambassador, I'm glad to introduce you to the, is it? No, that's not my job, okay. I'm happy that I'm here, and I'm honored to be here at this event, which honors a person that I think has made such an impact on so many people, both on the continent and here, that I'm really happy. I'm tickled to death to be here with him. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, the man of the hour, would you welcome, please, Ambassador Horace Dawson.
I'm overwhelmed by all of these very nice comments from the previous speakers, and also by the fact that so many of you are here on this occasion. Let me just say briefly what the program that Dr. Kagwa was talking about is one that was called at the time, and I mean 50 years ago, the African Scholarship Program in American universities. And the aim of that was to bring large numbers of young men and young women, again, probably for the first time, young women, to the United States and provide them with education at the college level so that they could return home as quickly as possible and start the process of development in free countries. I was assigned to Uganda by the United States Information Agency, which I had joined. My background was in Augusta, Georgia, where I was born, and aspired, as I was like you at the time of aspirations, trying to look at what I would do with my life. The basic thing, according to my parents and others, was to stay out of trouble. And that was the basic lesson. The second lesson was to, having stayed out of trouble, continue to work hard at getting an education. And those were the two fundamentals upon which my whole future was based. I won't try to spend a lot of time with this, but we're talking about pre-World War II. I served in World War II, and normally when I say that to an audience, I get a great gasp because nobody assumes that anybody is that old. But actually I did serve in World War II. I served in Europe and in Asia in World War II, and that was a part of the background. Anyway, once I took the lesson seriously, went to Lincoln University where I earned a bachelor's degree, and then to Columbia for a master's degree, and the war was in between those two experiences. But then the question was, what would I do? And I started out as a teacher. I wanted to be a journalist, and I taught English and journalism at a couple of universities before I went into the diplomatic service. It might sound strange to you, but my family and I, my wife and one of our two sons, were traveling to Iowa for where I would receive my doctorate. We were on our way there when President Kennedy was inaugurated, and he made the suggestion that young people like yourselves ask not what the country could do for them, or what they could do for the country. And we took that admonition very seriously. And when the recruitment process started, and it was a very important period for recruitment, we answered that call, and I went to the into international service, wanting to go and insisting upon going, making my first assignment in Africa, and that's what Dr. Kagwa was talking about just a while ago. In the process, throughout that career, I served in Uganda, I served in Nigeria, I served in Liberia, then came back to the United States and had responsibility for all of our programs in Africa, and traveled to all of the countries of Africa over a period of 3 years. 3 years. And then I was assigned to the Philippines, which is where I was when President Carter appointed me and asked me to serve as ambassador to Botswana. And we spent our last years overseas in Botswana, and a few more years after that in the State Department here in D.C. Then after that, having retired from international service, I went to Howard University and spent 20 years there in charge of a program in international affairs, where the basic thing that I was trying to do was to interest young people like yourselves in international service, which is what I had done with much of my life. In fact, throughout my career, in every endeavor, my whole objective has been to encourage young people, again like yourselves, to do those two things that my folk back home insisted that was important for me. Number one, stay out of trouble. Number two, prepare myself through education to do something worthwhile in life. And so, without taking more of your time, I will end on that note, hoping that all of you will want to affiliate with this very important program and do something very, very important with your lives. Thank you very much.
There's probably not a one of you in here who hasn't at one point or another heard your mama, your pop, grandparent, uncle, aunt, somebody say to you over and over and over again, boy, there's nothing that you can't do if you put your mind to it. There is nothing that you can't achieve. There are no heights to which you cannot ascend. It's all up to you, but you must get an education. You probably heard it. I think the phrase is ad nauseum. You're going to hear it again tonight from me. And you're going to hear it again, I'm sure, for the next few years to come in your life, because it is true. Now, among the things that we hear from time to time as it regards the difficulty or the complexity of a particular issue is that, well, it ain't rocket science. Well, the fact of the matter is, you have been blessed here tonight to hear from some brothers, some elders, who have accomplished some rather marvelous things. This next brother, our keynote speaker, is a man who, when you talk about rocket science, well, with him, yeah, it is rocket science. He is an engineer at the National Aeronautic and Space Administration. He is a role model, to be sure, and he does have the coolest, hippest, most magnificent, glorious head of hair that I have ever seen, I think, since 1972. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please have a warm welcome now for Mr. Jarek Hayes from NASA, please.
Excellent. It's a pleasure to be here this evening, afternoon, and it's definitely a blessing to be able to be here. First and foremost, I want to let all of you know, all 300 of you know, that you're not here because you're disadvantaged, you're not here because you're in trouble, you're not here because you are a special group. It is already my thought that you guys are here because you are taking care of business. You understand the value of education. So I'm talking to a special kind of group, and I don't have to worry about anything that society says otherwise. It's important for me to come here today because I wasn't forced to be here. I'm here because I care about you guys. I'm young, you're young. I'm a millennial, you're a millennial. I like sneakers, I'm sure you like sneakers. I play sports, I'm sure some of you play sports. I love music, I'm sure some of you love music. And I think it's very important because in the Ghana tradition, there is something called a Sankofa bird. And it is this bird that has its feet planted forward, but its head always turned the opposite direction. Never forgetting where it came from and always holding the future tightly in its mouth, that egg being the future. So I sit here today because I'm not amongst just black leaders that are on the program. All of us are black leaders. So don't get it twisted. You didn't come here just to see black leaders. You are black leaders. I'm excited because this Friday is one of the 78th anniversary of one of my favorite books. I'm a mega nerd and I love to read. And one of those books is called Their Eyes Were Watching God. And that book was written by Zora Neale Hurston in 1937. And it is in that book she says that ships at a distance have every man's wish on board. For some they come in with the tide, for others they sail forever on the horizon. Never out of sight, never landing until the watcher turns his eyes away in resignation. His dreams mocked to death by time. This is the life of men. And I sat here and I thought about what my father told me as I was growing up in high school, that, son, that time waits on no one. And now it's this day that I understand what that means. How is it that black men seem to never feel the dreams or execute on those dreams that they imagined when they were in middle school or when they were in high school? What is distracting us so much that could keep us away from the dream? So I started to think about some trending topics because I like you guys, have a cell phone and am very involved with social media. Who here is on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Tumblr? Excellent. So I'm talking to the right crowd. And when I look at the trending topics today, I try to think, because I'm a millennial, because I'm young, and because I believe I look like you, I try to think of the student experience because for me, it wasn't that long ago. I think about today's school. I think about what is the environment like and how it related to my environment. I grew up in the hood, very proud to say that. I wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't for that upbringing. I went to a public high school, like many of you guys did. So it doesn't make me too much different. So I'm thinking today's trending topics, and I think about surveillance cameras, police dogs, armed guards, metal detectors, strip searches, police officers, physical buildings that just don't seem to be very inviting. Now, what does that image kind of remind you of? A what? A prison. And I don't want to get it twisted. I understand the circumstances and definitely the issues surrounding the everyday black man. It's hard to digest what it means to be a black man in today's society. I believe we all want to be comfortable. I already know you guys value education, but then I talked to some of you guys today this morning. You tell me, well, I'm trying to get my education. I'm trying to go to practice after school, but I feel uncomfortable. And we know, like anybody who rides the train, whether here in DC, New York, or Atlanta, when you're a crowded train, it feels uncomfortable. You feel like people are in your space. There's no privacy. And I think this is very important in the times that we live in. My grandfather told me that we live in good times. 99-year-old brother who passed away this year told me we live in good times. And I tried to think, Granddaddy, what did you mean by that? I still seem to wrestle with that idea now. How can we live in good times if people like me can't go to school and feel comfortable? Comfortable to want to learn. I grew up valuing education. My mother worked at the Purdue chicken factory. My father worked as a food truck worker. Both of them did not attend college and did not push any high expectations that I was supposed to go to college. I was supposed to be who I am today. And not to belittle anything my parents did, I love them to death, but it taught me the value of growing up in the hood. It taught me the value of growing up around everyday people that had the best expectations for you. I find it amazing that some people can see your vision much more better than you can see it yourself. And for me, it was the barbershop. It was the brother on the corner. It was the brothers and sisters in my family that were in and out of jail. How could these folks tell me or guide me in such a direction even though they didn't achieve or at the status level what society says they should be? And that's what makes a leader, gentlemen, is that you have to understand what a leader is, where leadership comes from, why the bird is looking backwards, what history tells us. We live in a rich tradition that tells us that we can take barely anything and we can make a lot of something. So, growing up, we didn't have much, but for anybody in the upper level who's familiar with a publication called Ebony Magazine, it was that magazine and Jet Magazine that exposed me to another side, another spectrum of what black folk were doing, what they were accomplishing, and what they were involved in. So my mother and father were so busy working that they didn't have time to push high expectations upon me and my sister, but they wanted the best for us. They wanted us just to do right and go to school, do the right thing. That's all I needed from them. I didn't need anything higher than that. And where I depended on a lot of those gaps of understanding was through Ebony Magazine. And it was there I seen African Americans accomplishing tremendous and wonderful things that I had never been exposed to. I didn't grow up wanting to be a NASA engineer. I didn't know I was going to be doing the things that I would be doing today. It wasn't until college that exposed me and taught me that human beings can love many things. So it was in Ebony Magazine where I realized it was the HBCU edition. I was scrolling through the pages and I realized after so many turns that there was a school named Hampton University. And it was in that university that it sounded familiar. Old folk always told me that that school was where their cousins, where their daughters, where their sons went. And so it seemed attractive to me. I've always been attracted to being a scholar. To me, I always thought that was swag. I thought that was always the epitome of what excellence should be about. To me, that was always attractive, very sexy. And so I applied to Hampton University, I got accepted, and I enrolled as an electrical engineering major and aviation major. I knew I wanted to do something different in high school. I went to a high school where I studied business for 4 years. I realized after my senior year that business was okay, but I wasn't being challenged. So I told myself I was going to go to college and I was going to learn the most difficult and the most exciting, but the coolest thing. You know, you want to make sure that whatever you choose today matches your interests, that it matches the things you love to do. So to the point that you would actually work for free. Now, don't get twisted. There's nothing wrong with making money. I make a lot of money, if that's what you want to know. But I never dived into engineering because of the money. I dived into engineering because of the challenges. What I love about NASA is we reach new heights. We create what has never been done before, from a concept to something that can fly into space. And I'm very, very humbled to be able to be a part of a team such as that. And so I studied electrical engineering and aviation, and I soon interned at NASA. After my freshman year, I went down to Houston, Texas. And let's rewind, I grew up in the hood, so I wasn't exposed to a lot. And one of the first things I was exposed to when I got to Hampton University, my beloved alma mater, was that black males come in a wide spectrum of different interests. Now, the person you see today is not who I was, a few years ago. I went to Hampton University with 4 to 5 XT t-shirts, fitted caps, baggy jeans, and definitely every J you can name. I don't think there is a sneakerhead in here that can actually top my sneaker collection. But I was soon molded into a different man, high expectations. And through there, I interned at NASA, and I realized that was my first plane ride to Texas. It was my first time I ever traveled out of the East Coast. And I was exposed to the Deep South, and I was exposed to my very first mentor, who I still stay in contact today. So I experienced a lot of things. It was my first summer where I went skydiving. So it was an interesting experience from a research aspect, because I was helping build GPS satellites. But then socially, I was grooming myself to actually seek more than what I was exposed to from the East Coast. And so every year I would intern at NASA in different research experiences, and I would start to build this skill set. And I started realizing that education was this place for imagination, this place where you can reinvent yourself daily throughout the school year. But then I realized I can freak this thing. I can hustle education, and I can make gaining scholarships a hobby. So to the point where I would make money, pay for school, and then still buy the freshest sneakers when they came out Saturday morning. It was a great model. It was a great plan, and it worked. So what you don't know, if you don't know, is there is no limit to exceeding the amount of scholarships and grants that you can receive. And there's no time limit when you're supposed to start. You can start right now and start gaining these scholarships and grants, pay for school, and you're good money. So my parents didn't have no money, so I had to think of an alternative plan. I had to hustle another objective here. And so what I see today in today's school system, it definitely concerns me. If brothers can't walk into the schools feeling comfortable, how can they be able to have an imagination or reinvent themselves like they're supposed to do? I see now with trending topics, it seems that schools are practicing different methods that seem to want to always discipline our innocent young men. How many people in here has ever been suspended from school? Excellent, I'm not alone. And so what we're seeing here is about, it seems that one out of every 4 young men is getting suspended every year. We're talking about 3 million brothers annually being suspended every single year. And it doesn't take a rocket scientist to know that when you're suspended from school, you get expelled from school, you get transferred into an alternative school, that's taking you away from the dream. Clearly it's going to sit at the ocean because you're not being able to put the work in. You're not being able to really dive in and work on honing on in the dream. And that concerns me because if brothers are getting suspended for doodling, if brothers are getting suspended for creating science experiments, if brothers are getting suspended for playing Fresh Prince of Bel-Air on their cell phone, I'm concerned because I could only imagine what it would have been like many years ago if those same brothers and sisters who paved the way for us had went to school and their dreams were stifled because they wanted to create a science experiment. And so, I'm an engineer, I'm a mega nerd, so I have to talk about technology. And I want to relate that to you guys because I want to talk about history and I want to talk about technology and I want to talk about innovation. One of the issues we see now with young men is this complacency, conformity, mediocrity, that I'm just going to get by, I'm not going to go above and beyond, I'm not going to be the best. Now, who's here is on a sports team? Who played basketball? Who played football? Who played track? Excellent. So you know the value of practice, and you understand that you can't be mediocre on the floor. You understand that you have to be on point because you have an accountability factor with your teammates. And so I try to envision what it would have been like if brothers and sisters had the same situation that you guys were going through. I try to think of if Sarah Boone would have been denied and suspended, what that would have meant. I try to imagine if a lot of these brothers and sisters weren't here because they were suspended. Imagine getting up every morning, trying to get dressed, trying to go to school, but you realize that you can't do what you need to do because the processes involved in what you need to do don't exist. They don't exist because you can't put your shoes on because Jan Masslinger was suspended. If she was suspended, then there would be no shoe lasting machine. You can't iron your shirt because Sarah Boone was suspended and she wasn't able to invent the ironing board. You can't comb your waves, you can't brush your waves because Walter Samuels was suspended. Lydia Newman was suspended. Madam C.J. Walker was suspended. So brothers, you can't get up, you can't put no clothes on, you can't put no shoes on, you can't brush your hair. That's not winning. That's not winning. And so you go to school, even if you manage to go to school, you get through the environment that is the environment that seems to make you uncomfortable, metal detectors, police officers. You get inside the classroom, you're hungry about learning, but you can't use a pencil or you can't use a pen because John Love was suspended from school, William Purvis was suspended from school. And then you say, well, I don't have a pen or a pencil, but I'm going to use my iPad. I'm going to use my computer. Cool. But then you realize that doesn't exist either because the predecessor before the iPad and the computer was the typing machine, created by a black man named Lee Burridge. And so you have no books because W.A. Levette was suspended from school. You can't even get to school. How many people ride the bus in here? You can't even get into school because Albert Robinson, another black man, was suspended from school because he wanted to create a scientific experiment. Brothers, it's looking pretty dark in here. And you know, the light is very bright. But even with this technology, that wouldn't even exist either. Because if Lewis Howard Lafrenberg was suspended, we'd all be in the dark right now. And so I say that because I think of one of the brothers I met at the Black Engineer of the Year Awards this summer, past year. It's like the celebrity of Grammy Awards of Engineering and Science. Ed Wilburn was the Black Engineer of this year, and he is the first African-American engineer, chief designer of General Motors. What if somebody would have told him that he couldn't design anything at Howard University? You would not have all the cars that you would see today. What if you told Eric Avar that he was suspended? Then that's telling me that the technology, which is called Nike foam posits, would have never been created. So back in 1997, who wears foam posits? So Nike foam posits is an incredible technology that was created by Eric Avar. And so you would not have Nike foam posits. Brothers, I say today, though, don't ever let anybody tell you you can't do anything. You've seen the movie Pursuit of Happiness, and you remember the scene at the basketball court with his son. Don't let nobody ever tell you you can't do anything. I launched and I built 4 spacecraft that went into space because I went against the grain. I didn't told nobody you can't tell me nothing. You've got to create and definitely take charge of your own career. You're an entrepreneur, and every day you get up, you're going to school. This is your job. Love it. Continue to imagine, continue to dream. And just realize that when you're in the classroom, that you take pride in what you do. The only times that you should never have to raise your hands up is when you see police. It's not when you see police that you should raise your hands up. Let's don't get it twisted. You should continue to keep raising your hands up in the classroom. Continue to be the change that you want to be. Receive that knowledge, gain that knowledge, and bring it back, because that's what the bird does. Excellence is never an accident. It is the result of high intention, sincere effort, and intelligent execution. It represents the wise choice of many alternatives. And then he says one more thing. Chance, not choice. Choice, not chance, determines your destiny. What will you choose, Wilson? What will you choose, McKinley? What will you choose without borders? Choose to continue to keep dreaming. Thank you.
A NASA engineer, phenomenal tips, phenomenal life story that he's had, and phenomenal hair too. That brother got some hair.
Hello, how you doing? I'm DeMar Pender, resident artist at the Howard Theater, the historic Howard Theater. And today I'm here, just documenting the moment in the presence of these young great brothers right here. Right now I'm doing the painting of Ambassador Mr. Horace Dawson. And, just capturing the moment and being inspired by my peers, the young generation, the generation that was before me, and just trying to add my 2 cents to, to the positive effect, to the world changing events and everything. So, I salute the young kids that's growing up. Stay in school, follow your dream, catch your dream, stay focused, uplift one another, and, that's it. I'm DeMar Pender.
We're here to see the Black Male Youth Summit. We're representing McKinley Tech.
So what's some of your ambitions? What do you want to do? What's some of your ambitions when you get older? Anybody, what you want to do?
I want to be a graphic designer and eventually own my own business.
I want to major in software development.
I also want to do graphic design and art and design.
I want to major in aerospace engineering and be a air traffic control.
I want to major in business and marketing and be a sports agent.
I'm Alan. I want to major in international business.
Hi, I'm Vaughn, mechanical engineer, hopefully football star.
President Obama has said, change will not come if we wait for some other person or some other time. We are the ones we've been waiting for. We are the change we seek. Each of you is that change that we seek. Each of you has the capacity, the ability to be the change that you want. My name is J.R. Clark. I'm here moderating this panel of just a super group of brothers here this afternoon. It's really my privilege and my honor to be here with you, to be amongst these strong black men.
Hello, I'm Juwan Durbin from School Without Walls. I know most of you are involved in activism. I wanted to ask you guys, how can we get involved in activism? What does it mean to you? What did it mean to you when you were growing up? And what can we do as young black men and white men in society to make things happen for ourselves?
Great question about trying to get involved. I'll just quickly respond by saying it starts at home. It starts with yourself. You know, it's sort of like, I don't know if you've ever flown on an airplane when the oxygen mask drops down, and it said you have to save yourself before you start saving others. Make sure that you're strong, the smartest person you can be, and then it starts at home. You know, your sister, your brother, nephews, nieces, it starts there. That'll be my suggestion. But let's run down the panel and have this response as well.
Yeah, I would just say, one, find your passion, something that you believe in, something that you really feel just passionate about, that you really care about. Also something outside of yourself, a circumstance, a cause, or something that you believe in that you want to change or make a difference in. And don't hesitate, just jump right in. Find a community, organization, local, pull your peers in, your friends. Don't do it alone. But again, outside of yourself, find something, a cause, but something that you're passionate about.
Yeah, I have to echo what Michael just said. Zoning on something that you really care about and make that your issue. A lot of times people are all over the place when they talk about activism. Find something that you really, really care about, and then pull in your network of individuals and folks, and you guys can create increase of awareness of whatever the issue is.
I think it was a guy named Kendrick who sung, but it was a song by Michael Jackson. It was Man in the Mirror. He said, if you want to make the world a better place, take a look at yourself and make a change. So as a young man, I started investing in myself and working on myself, reading books, going to the library, applying for scholarships, doing things that wasn't really popular and a lot of people didn't see me doing. Also, one of the greatest influences in our young people today is their peers. And so you can get your friends to start doing a community cleanup right where you are. You know, you can get a group of young men, young ladies in your neighborhood and do a double dutch contest for the girls, do a basketball tournament for the boys. I started coaching, I built my reputation coaching Little League football in my neighborhood. I thought I was going to the NFL, but guess what? I was 5'2" and 115 pounds. So I knew I wasn't going to the NFL, but what I could do is coach a Little League team in my neighborhood, and I started just that. In fact, one of my players over there, Dimitri Mormon, he's about 6'4" now. He was a little kid at the time. But start where you are. You know, you have something to contribute right where you are.
Start where you are. I mean, honestly, my activism started right on Hanover Place on the corner of First and O, and it just went out from there. And you model, and you hone yourself, and you hone your skills amongst the people that are close to you. Be passionate about whatever it is that you're working towards, and be knowledgeable. Research, right? Learn, talk to other people, and just grow that. You know, and organically it'll happen. All right.
I agree with everyone. I mean, yeah, I'm passionate about aviation. I'm an activist in that way. There were 996 Tuskegee pilots still created during the Tuskegee experience. Today, there are 1,000 African Americans flying for major airlines. That's since 1945. I saw that as a pilot, and I didn't see anyone that looked like me as a pilot, so I said, you know what, I'm going to do something about it. I'm going to start this organization and see if I can create more pilots that look like me.
How you were talking about how there was a difference between neighborhoods and how that stopped growth as us as a black community. And I wanted to ask you, what do you think? You said that you came out of the hood too, and you understand us on a level. So I wanted to know what you did to help you leave the community. You helped the community, but also how you won back.
So one of the unique things about me growing up going to Blue was that I played sports. And playing sports, I was on the team with a lot of guys that was from Berry Farms, Conators, Waller Place, all over Southeast. And so it gave us a network of friends we normally wouldn't communicate with because they wasn't particularly from my neighborhood. And so as a young man, I embraced that. And my best friend was from MLK, I was from down first. And we kind of like, you know, so our commonality was sports. And so I ran for SGA, was involved with that. But I think that we have to change our mindsets. I think we grew up in a culture where it teaches us because this brother is different from me. Maybe he's taller, maybe he's smarter, maybe he talks funny, maybe he don't dress the way I dress. We judge that person and call that person weird. But God made everyone different. We got to change our mindset, how we start viewing people. Because the only difference between me and my best friend Rodney was that his parents grew up on this street and my parents grew up on this street. And so just because we come from two different neighborhoods don't mean we can't be friends. And so we started to embrace our commonalities, as I spoke to before, and really started to figure out how we can break down those barriers. We started bringing other people in our circle because we were very influential, we were very popular. You know, we was in SGA, we had money, we was driving in high school, so we used our influence to do something positive instead of doing something negative. And so we started just there. We was 17. Rodney graduated when he was 15 from Volusia High School. And so we started doing a lot of things, and it became contagious in our high school where we turned the culture of our high school around just by using the positivity that we had.
The program, we just have a couple of more people to talk to you, and we just appreciate y'all because coming out, you guys have learned so much about what it means to be a leader. You've seen it from different eras, from someone who served in World War II all the way to young brothers who came out of your neighborhood, who worked for NASA. So you have an opportunity to see yourself right here. So take a look in the mirror, as the song says, and see which one of these cats you can exceed. Because this is the standard now for you. This is the standard for you. This is not where you aspire to, this is where you aspire from. And with that, I'd like to bring out two people who made this event possible today. The first is Miss Joy Scott, who is the president of the Ambassador Horace G. Dawson Scholars, and a candidate for the Stanford University class of 2016, and Ms. Layla Prey, who is the executive director and founder of the Ambassador Horace G. Dawson Scholars. Without further ado, your two hosts.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Joy, and I'm the president of the program. I'm a Walls graduate. I graduated in 2012, so I was really happy to meet some of you today. I know what it's like to be in your shoes, but I don't know what it's like to be, as a student I do, but not as a young black male, which is why you have these professional and amazing men here today to speak with you. And my mother and I just wanted to have an event where you feel special and you feel that you can learn something new and take something with you, which is why she's going to talk about what's in your hands that I handed to you very briefly.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming. I went to several schools and invited everybody personally to come here today. So it's for you. And what you have in your hand is a time capsule, something that Mr. Jim Vance thought of along with Christina to share with you all, where in 10 years we'll come back to this same location on this day, and we will follow your journey on Facebook for the next 10 years. So I will engage with your principals and the assistants in terms of what needs to happen, but there will be newspaper articles about this event next week. You'll be able to get those papers, and they're free. The Washington Informer. Is Ron Burt here from Washington Informer? Okay, I'll give him a second to respond, but okay. You will be able to put information in your capsule, your time capsule, for 1 year. And you will leave it with your principal after today, and you'll go back and put items in your time capsule, school-related, for 1 year. So you can engage your principal more that way, and they'll know that you were at this event. And when you leave your school, you will leave your time capsule with your principal. So after the 1 year, you'll seal it up for good, and you'll leave it at your school with your principal. In 10 years, you'll go back and get it and come back to this location on a special date. And that's the purpose of it. I just want to say again, thank you for coming. And I'd like to introduce to someone that's here in the audience that I'm so glad to share with you, Ms. Rose Harper. She's going to say just a few quick words.
I was asked to say a few words to you because I have been in the sports industry all of my adult life for over 40 years. So I've been managing professional athletes on the PGA Tour for 29 of those years, managing 9 guys. So as I listened intently to the panel up here, I know about most of you because I am a native Washingtonian. I grew up here, I went to school here, was adjunct professor in the School of Business at Howard University for a short period, teaching the art of the deal, golf, which is a non-traditional sport for most of us, for particularly African Americans and minorities. My mission and my foundation and my business encourages young people from high school to college to please visit the game of golf. It is the #1 business tool in the world. So there's no mystery why you see every head of state, all of your presidents playing golf. It has nothing to do with how well you play the game. It has everything to do with how well you know how to use the game as a business tool to get you to the next level.
Are you willing to do the hard work to be who you want to be? Are you willing to do the hard work that it takes to be who you want to be? Yes. Are you willing to give it all you got? Yes. And you must leave it out on the field. So what I want y'all to do, I need y'all to stand up. I'm asking y'all to lock arms. Now, if you're a woman in the building, I just need you to reach your hand out towards a man. If there's a man that's sitting down, you must not have any feet. Because I see men that are still sitting down. I need y'all up on your feet. All right, I need if you're a woman in a knock lock, I need y'all to reach them out to the brothers that are in the room. And so I need y'all to repeat after me. Listen up, I need y'all to repeat after me. This is real business. I'm the chief medical examiner of Washington, D.C. That's my story. And so what I see on my table on a daily basis is a mirror of myself. I see the death of our community on my table. And so the reality of this is that you are the future of what we have to bear in our community. This is your opportunity to take the choices to the next level. And so I need y'all to repeat after me. I am capable. I am capable. I am worthy. I am worthy. I am dedicated. I am dedicated. I am disciplined. I am disciplined. I am hardworking. I am hardworking. I am free. I am free. Say it again. I am capable. I am capable. I am worthy. I am worthy. I am dedicated. I am dedicated. I am disciplined. I am disciplined. I am hardworking. I am hardworking. And I am free. I am free. One more time. I am capable. I am capable. I am worthy. I am worthy. I am dedicated. I am dedicated. I am disciplined. I am disciplined. I am hardworking. I am hardworking. And I am free. I am free. Give you a round of applause for this.
How you doing? Demar Pender. It's the finale, the finished product of Mr. Dawson right here. This young man who done extraordinary things for the community and for the world. I had the great pleasure and honor to be next to this individual. We here for the youth, the next generation. And hopefully we can add a little bit of positive influence on the world changing. So it's the finale, lasting legacy.
So Ambassador Dawson, what do you think about this incredible photo?
It's incredible. It's really well done. Extraordinarily well done. Even makes me look good. This has been very well done, and thank you so much for painting it.
Thank you, sir.
It's not just the painting, but it shows the character, I think, and the enthusiasm spirit. So it's very, very, very well done, and I'm grateful for it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Pleasure.
An amazing, historical, monumental day has just transpired And I'm sitting here with the two incredible women that put it together. It's Layla Prey.
Yes, thank you.
And her daughter Joy. Joy, how are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
So I know a lot of work went into this. How are you two feeling right now?
Outstanding. I knew that it would be a great day because we put so much planning into it and time to meet with everyone that's basically here. I visited school principals to make sure the boys were here. It was important to do this during the Congressional Black Caucus Week, so this event will continue on. It's our inaugural event. It will continue onward and grow with the Black Caucus with our young men. We need more young leaders, and at this age we can grow with them, and over the next 10 years see their development through our nonprofit, Horace Dawson Scholars. So again, it was a wonderful day.
As a former DCPS student, it was really great to connect with a lot of the students who are, either freshmen or they're seniors on the road to college where I am right now. So it gave me a lot of perspective about like what they want and what they need, and just from the conversations that I had with them. And I think that they did fulfill the purpose of this event in learning so much from the men that were here to speak with them.
Yeah, definitely.